Friends, last week we were talking about living a joyful life, and we covered part 1 because we couldn't go through all of the Beatitudes in one lesson. So today is Living a Joyful Life, part 2 by Ed Townley. It's some wonderful material by Unity Bible scholar, Unity minister Ed Townley. This is his book, The Secret According to Jesus, Living a Joyful Life. And last week we talked about ways to cultivate hope and live a joyful life. And we talked about a little bit about the Beatitudes. So I'm going to give just a little bit of a review. And I encourage you, if you missed, to go back in and watch and pick up the first half of these 4 Beatitudes. The Beatitudes are in Matthew 5, 1 through 11, and in the context of the Beatitudes, it's known as the Sermon on the Mount, that information that is in that section, and that it is known to be written like a compilation of all the essential teachings of Jesus in his 3-year ministry. It is written specifically to the Jewish people by the author of Matthew. And at that time, the people believed that all of the illnesses and negative experiences were God's punishment, and that Jesus was teaching us how to claim our personal power and how to reclaim our personal power. And it was really, sort of radical or revolutionary for them to look at these a lot differently, that God doesn't punish us, and to know that we have that essential power within. And so today we'll do the second 4 of the Beatitudes. Again, we will meditate with them, and we will each one of those. And then we'll hear from the beloved, known to be mother of Unity, Myrtle Fillmore, in her words, about the divine feminine, because it is Mother's Day and we want to honor that as well, which we will do. So the first, we did the first 4 last time. And so now we're going to do the second 4 Beatitudes, starting with number 5. And the 5th Beatitude is read like this: Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. And remember, the Jesus seminar people were looking for a different word than blessed because they thought it didn't quite capture that revolutionary teaching. And so they kind of interpreted it to say congratulations too. That all of these different things in the Beatitudes are blessings in disguise, most definitely, but to look at them as part of our spiritual journey. So, congratulations to those who are sympathetically compassionate, for they shall receive sympathetic compassion as well. That is the metaphysical interpretation in this case, according to Ed Townley, because he says that, the word mercy means something like to negate or lessen people's consequences of their actions. But this is like deciding, for example, not to press charges if someone does something illegal, but yet there's still a recognition of guilt in that case. We still judge them as guilty of something, even if we don't press charges. So he stresses that Jesus' teachings emphasize it's not our actions taken or not taken, but it's the consciousness behind our choices. And Webster's dictionary defines mercy as compassion, and defines compassion as a sympathetic consciousness of others' distress with a desire to alleviate it. A sympathetic consciousness of others' distress with a desire to alleviate it. So mercy is not just something like not taking revenge or issuing punishment, even if you think the other is wrong. It is having compassion and that compassion of the heart does not pass judgment. Now, this isn't saying that we don't hold people accountable for harmful actions. It is simply saying that we fully embrace compassion within us to radiate that compassion, taking the judgment away from another person or ourselves. It's acknowledging that we all have the same fears and insecurities that lead us to make harmful choices. And mercy acknowledges that we are all spiritual beings doing our best with what we know. And when we know better, we do better. So let's call this compassion, sympathetic compassion or mercy, now into meditation. So let's just take a deep breath and allow yourself to close your outer eyes, if you will. And today, I call on the one presence and one power within me to dissolve every judgment that I may feel called to render upon another or upon myself. I feel my oneness with all life, and I embrace shared consciousness that allows all life to blossom together in spiritual expression. I am mercy. I am compassion. And so it is. Our next beatitude is, blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Congratulations to those who are heart-centered, for they will see God everywhere. This concept of purity carries a lot of negative baggage. Over the years, the concept of purity has brought out a lot of exclusion over cultural, racial, religious ideas of purity. And it judges some to be more or less pure. So the pure in heart are those, not that you can go around, oh, there's one, there's one, there's one. He says that it's by their fruits you shall know them. You can feel that purity. You can feel that presence in another who is pure in heart, by their non-judgment, by their compassion. The most important thing, though, is that we don't look at or assess what others are, whether others are pure at heart or not, but we need to go within and look within our own hearts. In what ways do I judge or see others as less than? And there's plenty of duality-based ideas out there that compete for our attention and thought, and that impurity is really in the mind. A pure heart is loving and faithful to truth principles, to knowing that face of God is in everyone. Well, and our author reminds us that we don't get to purity. We don't get to it. We recognize that we are already the pure essence of God. We are already that. And those who are in that pure essence of God expressing, see that presence in everything and everyone. So let's take that into meditation. Today, as we close our outer eyes again, today is filled with wonderful opportunities to express the face of God in every challenge, the essence of divine light and love that constitutes the only energy of the heart of my being. And to see that divinity gazing back at me and everyone I meet. Today, I rely on that pure energy of the heart. And today, everywhere I look, I see the face of God. like the song we just sang a little bit ago, you are the face of God. There's another song by Karen Drucker called The Beloved. That's another one is, when I look into your eyes, I see the beloved looking back at me. And when I open my heart, I can feel the beloved in you. There's more to the song, but that captures the essence of purity in heart. Number 7 of the Beatitudes is, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Congratulations to those who remove obstacles to peace, obstacles to love, to joy, for they shall be filled with the indwelling Spirit. And that is our interpretation of blessed are the peacemakers. See, we are made in the image and likeness of God, but that doesn't mean that God has hands and feet and arms and legs and it's not that image and likeness. So God is defined as spirit in John 4:24. So we are at the core spirit, that creative energy of God that is expressing and moving in and through us. And that's what in the Hebrew scriptures they call the Lord of our being, and Jesus called the Christ. So the challenge is for us to remove the obstacles to that truth of our being, the obstacles to our Christ nature, and express fully throughout all circumstances and experiences that love. All right, so let's take this into meditation now. Blessed are the peacemakers. Today I choose to place my focus not on becoming or overcoming, but simply on being, on centering myself in the loving energy of the living light within me, empowered by a joyful infusion of spirit. And in this deep and exciting energy of indwelling love and grace, I find perfect peace. And I joyfully extend that peace to everyone I meet. So we can close that thought with, I am peace. Say that to yourself, I am peace, and I am grateful. So it is. Now our 4th beatitude is, blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. So congratulations to those whose desire for being in the presence of Spirit and expressing that presence is not shared by the masses. Not everybody shares that desire. So the earlier beatitude last week spoke about those who hunger and thirst after righteousness, those who hunger and thirst after knowing and putting God first. Not everyone shares that same passion, and sometimes even in our own mind, we question and doubt our own path. The collective or mass consciousness has plenty of doubt, lack, separation, judgment, and fear. And we can opt to be out of being a part of that, which may seem threatening to the status quo. The study of the Course in Miracles helps us to do that. That's why there's such deep truth study there, and we learn to recognize what is illusion and what is truth, what is duality, and what is the whole mind of God. So the misinterpretation of this beatitude, though, is seemingly promises a reward a reward after persecution and death, okay, and suffering in life. Now, this idea over the centuries in religion has been used to control masses, to accept without question, and to accept poverty, to accept oppression in this lifetime with a promise of eternal reward. Well, I'm here to say to you, Jesus did not teach that. He taught that the kingdom of heaven is at hand. He taught that the light is within you. He taught that I and the Father are one. He taught that we are it. He meant that we are to experience the kingdom in this lifetime. He meant that we must hold fast to the truth without resisting what is opposed to the divine. He was saying that we already experience that kingdom when we experience a certain level of consciousness, a certain level of that mercy and that kindness and that unconditional love. And that cannot be threatened by the world. Reverend Townley says this whole beatitude doesn't mean that suffering is good, or we should, be proud of our suffering if we're, for that reward that we'll get later. But what it means is that we are truly connected to the presence of God within, and nothing can cause us to suffer. This beatitude teaches us not to give the world that power. If we choose not to accept the world's standards, then we give it no power. There is an example in his book about the French priest who went to Calcutta to minister to the poorest of the poor. And in his story, you may have seen the movie or read the book, it's called City of Joy. This priest realized that the people in Calcutta, India, the poorest parts where he was living in the kingdom, and they were able to be more loving and more compassionate, offer more of that to him than he was, he said to them. The conditions of their life could not take away the peace and the joy of knowing their spiritual worth. I have heard it said of my friends who've gone to India, they have sort of felt that way, like, what an incredible presence of spirit in the midst of this face of deplorable conditions in the world and in some of the places. But to have that internal sense of your worth and your connection, and to have that joy of spirit is truly an incredible gift. So let's meditate on this one. Today I remain centered and focused on my spiritual possibilities. As we go within, I release all judgments of self and others, and I feel divine love radiating from my heart and into every cell of my body and my mind. I choose to live in this energy of love this day and claim the kingdom of heaven. And I discover my role in bringing that kingdom into full expression everywhere. I am grateful. And so it is. Now, it's time to hear a few words from Mother Myrtle Fillmore, Unity's co-founder. She had been referred to as the Mother of Unity in letters that people wrote to her at the time. Now, keep in mind, it was the turn of the 19th century, so it was like in the 1890s when the Fillmores and others in America discovered this new thought, ancient wisdom. And she herself had a healing experience. She herself got a glimmer of that presence being accessible to her, to being told she had 6 months to live, and all of her life being told she was sickly and so forth. And when she got hold of that idea, I am a child of God, therefore I do not inherit sickness, she worked with it. And she threw her medicines out. Eventually. She meditated every day. She put this into practice. And as a result of that, everybody wanted to know, how did she do this? How did she prove this healing energy that Jesus used when he walked the earth? So anyway, they wrote her letters, and there are some gathered actually responses of her letters that have been compiled into a book called Healing Letters. And anyway, so someone wrote her a letter calling her the Mother of Unity, and here's what she said. But dear, I feel you are crowning me with an honor that belongs to the Holy Spirit, which is omnipresent, and which expresses in the loving desires of the hearts of all who are endeavoring to manifest the mother side of God. You call me the Mother of Unity. Well now, I know of nothing that would give me greater joy than to feel that God could work so perfectly through me as to bring forth a great ministry and a place of peace and goodwill and health, such as Unity School is. At the time, it was a school, an educational movement. But in reality, I feel that I am only the soul who caught the first vision of this ministry and who nurtured that vision until others came along to help in the establishment in the minds and hearts of our dear ones, and to help in the molding and substance, the outer forms of this school and its work. It is my great joy to perceive somewhat of the mother side of God, the divine love that never fails and that is equal to the drawing of souls to itself. And it is my prayer that you be able to radiate the qualities of this divine love to all. You too are the Mother of Unity. Because in your heart, you have the same ideals and the same great generous spirit and the endless and tireless service and the love that never fails. The Mother of Unity is the universal mother, and how happy we are to represent the mother, this mother. And she went on to tell the person a bit about her their struggles. I mean, it wasn't like, oh, it just happened so easily, and there were, she talked about how, it's not for the money we're doing this. And that they had this spirit-filled quality, this spirit-filled vision that came, and then spirit came forth because they committed to that vision, and they committed to carrying it out. No matter, they didn't have any idea how it would come to fruition, but they stepped out on faith. And she said this: we have always had to launch out on faith without visible evidence of the ultimate success. We know that the Spirit of God, operative in a given service, that provides whatever is required in doing that work. And so she went on to say how Unity work had been nurtured and built from the invisible to the visible, by people like her and Charles Fillmore and others who came forward to also support it. She said, it may never have occurred to you that my husband and I have put ourselves into this thing which God has given us to do without personal returns beyond our daily bread and clothing. We are helping all who come our way to unite with us in the study of truth that enables each one to bring forth sufficient supply for our daily needs and to make good use of all the riches of God here in the earth as well as in the heavens of the mind. So let this be our charge here at Unity of Richmond, that we help all who come our way to unite us within this study of truth that enables each one to bring forth sufficient supply for their needs and make good use of all of the abundant good that God has for us, this kingdom of heaven. I'd like to end her quote on true prosperity is this: true prosperity is not making money or putting out goods or developing property. It is determining what our own individual soul requires in order to cause it to unfold more and more of God, and how to harmonize its expression with the needs of others so that all are really benefited to unfold and express more of their own inner resources. Our Fillmore founders, they lived the Beatitudes every day. They were pure in heart, they were merciful, they were seeking to know the truth, practicing all of those Beatitudes. And so may we all, take these Beatitudes to a higher level now in our lives so that we too can express all that Spirit has for us to express in providing the experience of the kingdom of heaven on earth and within. And then we will live with that, have that living joy and that living love, that song that Ian sang earlier today. And that living joy and love will be, and peace will be in expression as each one of us. And so it is. Amen.